All right, good day. Hope everybody out there is having a good one. So we got all sorts of new cool thrifts and finds and stuff, vinyl pickups, all sorts of neat stuff. I wanted to show and share with the class, and some cool music history and neat stuff to kind of talk about. Um, let's start with we got some cool uh, VHSs. I collect VHSs. Um, we found this Highlander. It's the Renegade version, uh, director's cut, sealed. So that's pretty cool. Any fans of Highlander? It's pretty neat. I don't know if I've ever seen um, that version. I'm definitely going to check it out. I don't think I'll be opening that up, but I'll be definitely checking it out. Some other cool stuff. Well, here's another cool movie that I found. I have this book, and actually, I want to talk about this author real quick. This is To Kill a Mockingbird. This is the colorized version of it. I've only seen the black and white version of it. So I don't know. Some of them colorized versions back with the way they used to do them. It was touch and go. Some of them looked, it was like they used these gels and filters and stuff, or they actually go in there and rotoscope or whatever it is, the movie magic stuff that they do. But the author of this book only did this book, and her whole career basically was just this one book. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after she had already passed, the Harper Lee Go Set a Watchman. I'm not sure if this was I believe this was released after she passed, but I'm not 100%. But this is another Harper Lee book. If you didn't know, there is another Harper Lee book. But yeah, she's it's so and anybody that hasn't seen To Kill a Mockingbird, something you really want to have in your repertoire. It's just not only is it a great book because it's seen kind of through the eyes of a child, but it's a great movie. It's like a courtroom drama, just all around drama. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but it's definitely an important movie to check out. Definitely want to. Speaking of books, it doesn't have the dust jacket, but this via some other goodies here via Patrick's Books and Records on 19 in Port Richey, Florida. Port Richey, Florida, that is. This Slash with Anthony Boza. I have not read this, but just flipping through it, this looks like a pretty cool book. I read Marilyn Manson's book, but this has got like a lot of cool pictures. I've actually seen him play this guitar. He still has this guitar. Well, he did at the time. But yeah, it's got some cool. That's the guitar I'm talking about. Because you couldn't see. It's got some cool, pictures of him as a kid. So it's going to be pretty neat. I definitely, being a guitarist, was always inspired by his style, his playing. He has this really bluesy thing about the way he plays or whatever. He was always just an inspiration. Now, moving on to some other VHSs. Um, Once upon a time, there used to be a comedian named Whoopi Goldberg who was very funny, and she had some pretty funny movies out. She's probably most well known for probably like Sister Act, but I had seen her in this movie when I was a kid, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and it's a pretty neat movie because it's all about using the lyrics of the song Jumpin' Jack Flash as like these messages, and it's all like these riddles and stuff. It's but she makes it funny stuff she says, and way she's acting or whatever. um yeah, she did do a few good movies back in the day, in the 80s, and into the 90s. She was pretty popular um, comedian. Now she did stand up, and that's how I had first seen her as a kid. Um, uh, with her and like Billy Crystal were both stand up comedians. They seem to have gone on. They went on to Hollywood a lot quicker. It seemed in the other ones, maybe. I couldn't give you an exact time frame, but they seem to definitely be putting out movies um, a little bit quicker than the other ones. Um, right here, these ones. This is one that I found, and I had almost forgotten about this movie because there was a couple of like biographies and biopics and stuff like that. But what's love got to do with it? It's basically the Tina Turner story, and Lawrence Fishburne plays Ike Turner. Anybody that doesn't know the story of Tina Turner should definitely. She owned the 80s. She was a big staple in 80s. She was that cross between pop and rock. There were a lot of these crossover bands back in like the 70s, 80s, that were like, it was a cross between country and rock, or there was a cross between pop and rock, and then they had, they would, um, be featured on albums or whatever of rock bands. Like she did a song with Bryan Adams and stuff like that. But here's some that I found that I've actually, one of them I've been looking for in the wild for quite a long time. I know you can find copies on eBay and stuff, but I found this one. I didn't even know it existed. This came out as a CD, and it was basically a newer Aerosmith greatest hits, of a lot of their newer 90s and 2000s music. Um, uh, Basically from, Get a Grip, um, and Permanent Vacation and Pump is basically, all the videos that were out. And it's the studio version for What It Takes. So yeah, all those videos that were out around that time are on this. Didn't even know it existed. So yeah, pretty neat to pick that one up. But this is the one that, as a kid, you couldn't find this. Like, you had to be a part of the Aero Force, I believe, or you had to like send away. You had to order for it. I remember it wasn't like you could just go get it, or they even televised it or whatever. And although they should have, because it seems like a lot of money went into it. Aerosmith Live Texas Jam. Now you can go on their website and you can't find this. Like, they don't have it on even on their website now. I believe there's a DVD copy. I'm not sure. I looked on the eBays, and sometimes, nowadays people can just make DVDs, so they could have ripped the VHS onto DVD. I'm not sure if it was officially put on DVD. Because you're talking, 78. It was the last live show that Joe Perry played before they broke up. This was it. And then he went on to do the Joe Perry Project, and Aerosmith went on to do Rockin' a Hard Place. I think he put out 2 or 3 solid albums of his own. And in the meantime, Aerosmith put out one album, Rockin' a Hard Place. They toured on that album. And then it was like Classics Live, Greatest Hits. They were like putting in the filler albums until they got back together with Done with Mirrors, which was really kind of polished out with a lot of material that Joe Perry had already put out with the Joe Perry Project. Just they scrapped the lyrics and put new lyrics on with Steven Tyler singing instead of who they had singing on the other one. Another cool thing that I found, which really nobody will think that I got these cool metal horns, but I found like cast iron type stuff or whatever that's cool or original. I like it. This little octopus. It's like it's for a shelf. Shelf. But I couldn't find its match or any other one, and I didn't want to leave it all alone by itself. I thought it was pretty cool. So yeah, cast iron octopus there. Anybody that's into shelving will really respect that, I guess. Now on to the albums. Yeah, I think most all these. Yeah, these are all from Patrick's Books and Records. Found on US 19, Port Richey, Florida. Let's just start. Yeah, we got Rush, Moving Pictures. This is the one with Tom Sawyer, XYZ. Solid album. Definitely probably one of their more popular albums because of Tom Sawyer. That song ended up on like other compilations, and it's been used quite a lot, and rightfully so. It's an excellent song, and it's probably was for a long time their most radio played song. Even though they did, I remember growing up hearing like XYZ from that album. I remember every once in a while you would hear Working Man. But yeah, a lot of the times me growing up, when you'd hear Rush on the radio, 9 times out of 10 it was Tom Sawyer. Let me know how it was in your area growing up, because a lot of times radio has changed through the years. So another one that I found, and you don't usually find these in good condition because of the material of it's got a more paperish material. People probably cringing watching me do that. I always when I was a kid, get a kick out of the dog, because they really took it was an advertisement more for Victor Records. But yeah, that's been used, this thing right here, or a version of it has been used from RCA for years, Victor Records, whatever, blah blah blah. So this is Jefferson Airplane, the worst of, which obviously is the best of. Solid album, great album, especially if you aren't as well versed in Jefferson Airplane, or only know them from the radio. Great album to have. I guess solid album. It's a great album. It's just you never find them in good condition because of the way the album's made. It doesn't have the gloss like other albums, although it still didn't stop them from getting rings and such. But Styx, right here, this awesome album. Yeah, The Grand Illusion. Um, growing up, this is another one that it's got "Come Sail Away." I mean, this was like the album you'd always hear, And what I loved about like song sticks and stuff was like a lot of their music, like you go on a little journey, like "Come Sail Away," all that. The Grand Illusion, it's like the songs are, well, they don't sound like Rush, but almost are a bit in that league because the songs are more bigger of a landscape, we'll say, than your typical rock and roll four on the floor type songs. Um, Now, when I was growing up, um, my grandmother, I had heard like a lot of comedy albums. My grandmother had like Bill Cosby growing up, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. Those were more, we had like VHS stand ups, those, Eddie Murphy Raw, Delirious, Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip, which is morbidly hilarious because he jokes for about a half hour about blowing himself up, which is a true story. He literally blew himself up. You can go check out why and all that. But I was introduced to a lot of comedy, comedians through albums, and some of them I had like seen already in movies as a kid and didn't know that they had a stand up career. Now, one of them that I always knew how to stand up, just never had an album of them, was Robin Williams. Great, reality. What a concept. You can imagine it's Robin Williams. It's just sit back and enjoy the ride, strap in. And another one, this was one of the best selling comedy albums for the longest time. Steve Martin, Wild and Crazy Guy. He has another one, which as a kid I always thought was a real like rock album, and then when you put it on, it's a comedy album. But yeah, this was back when like the original Saturday Night Live was around. This was when a lot of these comedians were really getting their popularity and gaining. And yeah, Steve Martin was young and he already had like gray hair. It's weird. Album I've never had, or didn't even know they made albums. Got a Monty Python album. I guess this came with with a tie or whatever originally. Yeah, it's a funny looking album. Admittedly, I haven't listened to it yet, but it's Monty Python, so it should be a fun ride. Now, this George Carlin was another really, I don't feel he got his due um, until later in his career, but you know he was part of the innovating of comedy and the whole concept of the full word, like it even has the warnings, there's the words you can't say on TV are on this album. There's a whole thing behind that, but yeah, this is Class Clown, um, George Carlin. He's always been one of them comedians that what I've always loved about him is he's been one of them comedians that makes you think about common sense and how uncommon it really is. And yeah, um, later on in his career, he was I think he had a much bigger career as he got older than he did in his younger years, but he had a vast comedy career. He was in movies. He did do movies, but he wasn't like this. You know, he didn't have like, aside from like stand up, movies and stuff like that. He didn't have like a movie that like he was always like a cameo or stuff like that. As far as I know, if there was any solid George Carlin movies, I would love to know what they are. I mean, like movies he acted in or whatever, but usually he was like just doing cameos and playing oddball characters and stuff. Something he was really good at doing. Now, one of these I already had, but this is the second run of the Beatles, the White Album. A little bit better condition. Definitely solid condition. The album itself is beautiful. Well, the albums, I should say. But this isn't the Apple. This is the Victor one. I believe it's yeah, pretty sure it's the Victor or Columbia, something like that. But anyway, this isn't the Apple original ones, but still, it's the White Album. It's a fun ride, and some cool stuff right here. We got a almost brand new mint condition Led Zeppelin 3. Anybody that knows this album, finding this like all like together and in like good working order, and because there's moving parts to this album. Yeah, this is a cool find. It's a great album, obviously. I don't think there's a bad Led Zeppelin album, but you can debate that in the comments, I guess. But yeah, very cool. Led Zeppelin 3, and mint condition. I have 1, 2, 3, and yeah, well, quite a few Led Zeppelins now. Actually, come to think of it. And last but not least, we got Misty and the Mischievous Mermaid. Misty, the mischievous, yeah, she's mischievous. She's a mischievous mermaid. This is the story and songs. Now, what's, cool about this is obviously for kids, but it's all together and it's all in like good condition. I believe, yeah, this is Disney. It's a Disney album. Disney had their own label for a while. They just own labels. They don't have like the label like they used to. Sorry. They don't do the type of stuff that they used to do. There still is soundtracks and stuff that I noticed they put out. Like they just put out a soundtrack for the new Little Mermaid. So, but I don't know what label they put that out under. They probably own it anyway. So, yeah, some pretty cool finds. All in all, it was pretty cool to find this in the wild. I've been actually looking for that, and learned some things, and definitely some cool vinyl pickups. And yeah, I wasn't expecting. I got a couple books based on Jim Morrison. One, The Lizard King, which is a biography more of an outsider doing interviews and stuff like that. And then there's one by Ray Mesnick, or however you say his last name, one of the band members, and that's Light My Fire. So yeah, I got some pretty neat books. Got a lot of other cool stuff we'll be sharing with the class and stuff like that. Some other cool stuff for Trekkies and stuff might be interested in. But yeah, other than that, hope everybody out there is having a great day. What are some of your cool finds? You know, out and about thrifting, or do you do the thrift thing? Or and what are your latest vinyl pickups? I think we did pretty good all in all. They're all in great condition. And if you're in the Florida area around Port Richey, go check out Patrick's Books and Records right there on 19. Have a great day, everybody. I'll catch you in the next one. We got tons of more news, reviews, all sorts of stuff. If finding new music and all that stuff is your thing, take a look around. We got tons of playlists, all sorts of good stuff to check out. Tons of new bands, bands that I never would have found hadn't I followed the suggestions of all the awesome people that have been suggesting awesome music. We got a ton more to check out and reacts and reviews and all that stuff. So definitely like, comment, subscribe, and if you got any suggestions, let us know. And we will see you in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.